It is Casey Ariel, founder of Blaze Group, and today I have a beautiful guest, y'all. Absolutely beautiful. Her name is Nina Scott, and she's been rocking with Blaze since the very beginning. Very beginning, meaning, top of 2021, webinars, talking cold shit in little quote blocks on Instagram. And literally just bootstrapping collectively as a community our way up to being the brand that people know and love today is Blaze, right? And so I want to let Nina introduce herself, but I call her OG. And I want to say this in front of a lot of people. Nina has been one of the few that has chosen to continuously show up for herself. Um, Nina has made decisions to show up on at webinars on a Tuesday, right? Like she's made decisions to show up 5 days sequentially to just keep learning and learning and learning, even with tears rolling down her face because she's like, why don't I know this, right? And then 2 years later, literally, she's like, I get it now, right? And so Nina is a beautiful example of what it takes to ascend. It takes intention, not expectation, bro. I'm gonna say that again. It takes intention, not expectation. Nina, please introduce yourself to everyone.
Man, need to say anything else. My goodness, what a warm welcome, what a warm introduction. I literally have chills just listening to you talk, Casey. I am Nina Scott. I on social media go by your corner coach, and there's a story behind that. But broken down, your corner coach is basically someone who's just always in your corner. Your corner coach is just someone who is looking out in front of you when you are blinded by everything that you have going on, but still there to say, you know what, you got this. Keep swinging, keep punching, keep taking one step after the other, and it's going to clear up. It's going to clear up. So we all need that person in our corner to cheer us on in the celebratory moments, to pick us up in the valleys and everything in between. And so I hold that name and that title so closely and dearly to my heart. And so that's how I like to show up for others, just being there consistently in the way that they need, in the way that they need. So that is a quick little snippet of who I am. But Casey, man, what a warm welcome. Thank you, sis.
You deserve. I wasn't lying, y'all. I wasn't gassing at all. And this episode is really really special, you all, because one thing that Nina and several other people, honestly, in the community have made me aware of is the complexity of being a mother and an entrepreneur. That's not an experience that I have, firsthand accounts in. Like it will literally be on the job training whenever I do become a mother. And so I've often been blind to the nuances of that experience because they can't copy paste, right? Moms can't copy paste what a lot of people are saying when they don't make provision, right, for all of the other responsibilities that come with that. And I will say Nina does a good job with moms of just bursting their bubbles about a lot of things. But especially what balance looks like and what self-care looks like and what boundaries look like. And so I just want to pick Nina's brain on the mic so it's recorded and lives in perpetuity for a lot of people so that she can burst specifically the bubbles of self-care. So Nina, just to start and to level set, right? Like, why is this conversation around self-care particularly important for moms?
Yeah, and I'll even add on like the mompreneurs, especially as we're talking to the Blaze tribe, because most moms that are here are doing some sort of work in their business or in the corporate field. So to relate it to that, like I'll just take your statement even further in saying, yes, I've always been here and been and learning and very clear that it's not a copy and paste, but that also took a journey through like some frustration and some vocalization, because gaining the pieces from Blaze and from the tribe, like I really had to take a minute, like, damn, this don't make sense for my life. I can't
Yep.
do it the
Yep.
way, like, she's giving me these nuggets. I'm getting all of this information, but it's not working for my day to day. And so, not running away from that, but standing in it. Like, okay, Casey, I hear what you're saying, but it don't fit for me and my lifestyle. So that took some awareness. When we're talking about busting the self-care bubble, I think that's a good place to start, is that we're in this place with self-care that it's such a trendy topic, that we want to mirror what other people are doing. We see the successes of others and how they're living it up on trips and brunches and bubbly drinks and all of that. And we create this expectation that we're going to have success in that same manner, and it
Ashay.
may not fit your day to day. And so when we're talking about self care, it's not about what's working for everybody else. You got to figure out what works for you. You got to figure out
Ashay.
what works for you. And so mirroring or trying to copy and paste what somebody else is doing, their journey is not your journey. Their destination is not your destination. So you can't copy and paste what someone else is doing or what you think they're doing.
That's right.
You got to operate in your truth and your reality, in terms of what your body needs, what your soul needs, what your time, what you're able to commit to. You got to figure out what works for you.
That's real. And it reminds me, and it sounds cliche, but it's so real. It reminds me of this quote that people are saying more often now, like, don't compare somebody's year 10, right, to your month 10. And it's so real, right? Like, what I hear you saying, Nina, is like, you got to ground yourself in your current reality. Like, the truth is, when you're in the beginning stages and you're trying to figure out how to put the burger on the table, right? We ain't even that, like, the healthy organic
Onions and
like this,
pickles and
bro, right? When you in those early stages, to keep it a buck, you literally don't have the capacity to think about your 10 channel marketing plan. You don't even have the capacity to think about your brand. You actually just trying to figure out what is a product that's gonna sell. Like, right? Like, you actually don't have the luxury of taking the 2 years it takes to build this brand aesthetic that everybody loves, and the packaging is right, and it's okay, right? Like, survive on our side, inside of Blaze. And it's what, and honestly, because it's so, what I'm realizing is, we just a magnet for like-minded people. Because when I look at these Nina and other people, it's the same way. Like, we are developing ecosystems that help people stay in the game. It ain't no get rich quick scheme. None of us. We ain't talking about do this and you'll make $100,000 in 3 months. Never. Like, none of us doing that.
It's added to the toolbox. That's like,
Bruh.
you don't have to implement it right now. Like you
Bruh.
said, with that burger, you don't need pickles and all of that
Oh.
extra thing. Get the bun. Get the bun. When you get your bun and figure out, okay, sesame seeds or no seeds, wheat,
Mm.
whole, or, I promise you, when it's time to figure
Yeah,
out if
baby.
you need the pickles and the tomatoes and all that,
Mm-hmm.
you'll have it in your toolbox. But you gotta
Mm-hmm.
understand that's the extra.
Yep.
That's the extra. You gotta build a foundation first. You gotta build a
Ashe.
foundation. So when we're talking about the self care and um, the myth of it and the myth of the process of it, understanding that it's a journey. It is a journey, and journey means that you're going to go through different seasons and transitions and around different corners and over hurdles and under rivers and through like journey. So in due time and in due season, it will come.
Ashe. And so let's make it practical,
Yeah.
Nina. G, my fiance said to me a very beautiful metaphor some years back, where he said, like, you can keep saying that the door is right there, the door is right there. And because you understand tech and because you've done these deals and all of these things, like, you see, all we see is a small little light. We have no idea how to get there. We touching around, right? And we don't have anything to hold on to, right? So let's turn on the light in the room, actually, right? Like, what are the micro moments, right? If we have to be realistic, right? And we have to do the best that we can today, right? With what we have. Nina, what are the ways that we can cleave to self-care, implement self-care, or however you want to frame it, even if that's not the word,
Yeah.
right? In these micro moments of our life where we are.
You said it perfectly. You got to start where you are. And, in those times where you're overwhelmed and those times where you don't see where you can add another activity, where you can add another place to go, another appointment, you got to start with what you have and where you are. Each and every day that we get a chance to open our eyes, there's breath in our body. And so when you shift your brain and your mind to think, okay, we don't even think about breathing. How many times can you tell me throughout a day in 24 hours that you really stop and say, "Oh man, yeah, that last breath I took, that was everything." No, we just it's a no thought action. But when you stop to actually inhale and hold it and release it, it starts to change the chemical imbalances that we have that are causing the stress and causing the anxiety and causing the overwhelm and the frustration because you just moving, you're just moving. And you just did that. We just did it, and you listening. I promise you followed along with those prompts, and that's stopping and intentionally using what you already have. I hope that we hydrate in some format each and every day, right? Whether it's coffee, whether it's water, whether it's, any other form of liquid, our body has to have that. But when you shift your mindset, oh, I'm just doing this because I'm eating and my throat dry and these fries are, filling up in my. No, how about we just stop and we just take a sip? Take a sip and actually feel that water on your tongue or feel that whatever it is you're drinking. Like I said water because that's what our bodies need. But start with what you have. All you might have is a Sprite in the refrigerator. Open up that can, listen to the sound of when you pop that top. And I'm talking because I'm hoping that you're visualizing, you're going through the practices with using what you have while you have it. You pop that top of Sprite or pop that type of Coke or whatever it is, and you hear the sound of the you hear the sizzling and the bubbles, and you put that thing on your tongue and you feel. I mean, just all of that. That is literally practicing self-care without adding any additional store or spa or anywhere, and it's free. It don't cost you nothing to breathe, but it costs you everything not to breathe. So when we take these actions that we're already doing, breathing, drinking, hydrating, lotioning, when you stop, you just, oh, let me just hit these ashy spots, so I'll be kind of decent. But when you actually stop and with intention, meaning I'm purposely touching and rubbing my body, I'm connecting with myself, I'm intentionally feeling what it is that I'm covered in the skin, you know, I'm looking at the hair rising on my arms as I mean, it's so simple that it's not. And so cutting on the light or opening up the door is not adding another place that you got to go to or another bill you got to pay or another contract you got to sign for a membership to something else. No, it's stopping in what you're already doing and utilizing the things that you have at your fingertips to change your mindset so that you can deal with the shenanigans of the day that you're going to deal with.
So good. I am so full. I'm so full off of that. And so I hope that you as listeners are holding what Nina just said with both hands and hugging into your body real tight and know that is yours if you choose it, right? We are swindled into thinking that we have to earn livelihoods, that we have to earn respect, that we have to earn our designation as worthy in this lifetime. But it's not true, right? Who teaches a lion to be a lion? Right? Like, who teaches a bee to transfer pollen? It's already in us. It's not on us, it's in us. Black women are the most educated demographic in the entire country. Black women entrepreneurs are the only cohort that have more than 75% with at least a 4-year degree. Like, it's why in the Blaze tribe we have over 89% of people with at least a 4-year degree, right? But still, we struggle to scale businesses. We struggle to sustain, right? And so what I hear, Nina, what I hear you saying is make space for yourself. You cold, bro. You can't be late. You can't mess it up. You were born worthy. So just make space for it. 9 and I were rapping right before we got on, y'all. And I was talking about my own epiphanies, full now embracing. I'm not sure it's more levels to this, my natural hair and realizing how beautiful wash days are when I can hydrate my hair and I can watch it. I can watch the curl pattern change when she get her water. I can watch the curl pattern change when she get her juices and berries and
Yeah.
experiencing that with my hair, right? With my body, I'm not hurrying up so I can get to Bank of America to work a 16-hour day. I'm lotioning my body because my skin is hydrated and it feels good as a caress down my leg and back up again and massage a aching spot. It was a time in my life when I was in therapy and I did not even know how to recognize the pain in my body. I thought me holding my breath all day till 4 months in when I finally realized I was holding my breath. I was holding my body,
Yeah.
bracing for bad things to happen.
Yeah.
Right? I was comfortable with her. She was my sister. Pain was my sister. Right? So let that hit. And so Nina, I want to, and you touched on this, right? You said so that when bad things happen, right? When we do self-care the right way, right? It's not that bad things never happen again. We just handle them differently. Things
Yeah.
happen, right? And so, Nina, what's your advice, right, on moving differently, right, or moving from within even, right, and maybe it's just circumstantial, but what does that journey look like as bad things happen while we still commit ourselves to
Yeah.
self-care?
Yeah. I think the first thing is just to let it happen. We're so adverse to pain and struggle, and we stop ourselves or we prolong the getting through because we don't want to get through. But the only way to get through is the only way to get through is to get through. And so stopping that process or hindering or prolonging it prolongs the struggle. You're not gonna like what I'm gonna say, but so often, Casey, and I get it, it's so many uncontrollables around us. But a lot of this stuff we put on ourselves too. A lot we put on ourselves. So thinking about advice or thinking about, how it's allowing it to happen, allowing the tears to flow, allowing the pain to be there, because that's what's going to motivate me. That is what motivates me, um, to be able to show up as my best self. You know what? It's a bad morning. I'm showing up to this meeting with tears in my eyes, and, but you can't eliminate. And when we talk about self care and how we incorporate these things and these practices that we already have access to our fingertips, um, it's not that it's going to take away, it's not going to take away those hurdles. Life is going to life, regardless of how much planning you do, regardless of how much trips you go on, how many times you visit Bali, how many brunches you have with your girlfriends, how many mani and petty appointments you have. You can have all that in the works, but that does not eliminate what's just going to happen. It's too many uncontrollables. But what you can control is yourself, your responses, your practices, your decision to listen to something empowering on the way to wherever it is that you go into that you know is going to be stressful. I know this is going to be a hellacious meeting. I know it is. So let me prepare my mind and let me prepare my soul so that I can be in a position to handle whatever it is going to come. I know I got to go sit in this funeral home and make these funeral plans to bury my family member. That's not going to be easy. So you prepare yourself on the way. You decompress when you leave. It doesn't eliminate the hard things that you have to do. It just helps you manage it a little bit better. We've been so as Black women, I mean, the weight of the world is on our shoulders. And no matter how much self-care you do, the reality is that mindset, that's not our control to change. It's not in our control in our control to change. How you gonna handle it, sis?
That's good. That's that's so good. Because I think it's, to be honest, like I think it's easy for folks to demonize people who, Black women who are online, who have these lifestyles of joy and um affluence, and they've ascended as if they're fronting. That's easy to do. It's easy to hate, but to keep it a buck, when I look at folks like Tabitha Brown, when I look at Kiki Palmer, I see women with tools. I see women who have chosen to die into old versions of themselves so that they can ascend higher and step through that thing differently. Their joy ain't fake to me, nor am I perceiving that they have an absence of hard times in their life, right? But they leverage things, right? Like family, prayer, writing, journaling, whatever, as tools to navigate these hard times. And that's what I hear in everything you're saying, Nina. You're putting the onus on us. You said when you in the car, you decompress. Like it's using the tools that are available to you, right? And it humanizes this thing, right? Because I agree with you. You burst it bubble so well. Like the extra trip to Bali ain't gonna eliminate the stresses in your life.
And you coming
Like,
back to it. You
yeah.
coming
So
back to
the
it.
question still is, so what you gonna do? Like, so what are you? Because the only way through it, like you said, Nina, is through it. So good. And then, man, y'all, as y'all can probably tell, I could talk to Nina all day long. But before we go, all right, I want to put a pin in this in a very real way, right?
Yeah.
Um, because some folks could listen to all of this goodness from the last 23 minutes and still think they got to create a list of all the stuff they gonna start doing, adding to their plates to get it done, right? So your list just went from 18, right, to 23. And that's not what we saying. Okay. So Nina, what would you
Yeah.
say about the importance of not using self-care as this extra burden that Black women have to carry?
You can't afford to. You physically, mentally, emotionally, financially cannot afford to add anything else to your plate. So don't. And it sounds like an easy button to push. It's not. It's not. It's not. Um, but you cannot afford to. You have enough on your plate. You're doing enough. You are serving enough people. Don't add nothing else to your plate. I'm giving you permission not to add anything else to your plate. What's on the plate and how can you use it? We all have five senses. If I can leave Casey with one action item, if you can't think, okay, what she say about breathing or what she say about lotion, but start with your senses. Start with your senses. Start with your senses. What can you see? What can you hear? Feel? Taste? Smell. Start there, and that's practicing self-care. It's not the places to go. And I know I've said this over and over and over, but I just really want us to understand it's not the places that we have to go. It's not the memberships that we have to buy into. Um, we already have it. We already have it. We already have it. It's not adding anything else. Don't add anything else. Use your senses. Use your senses. Use your senses. Start there and use your community. You said, when you look at we look at these women. What do they have that I don't have? Nothing. They don't have nothing extra. They don't have nothing extra, but they opening their mouths and using their community, and they're using their senses. That's don't add nothing else. You can't afford to. That's how I'm in. You cannot afford to add anything else.
So good. Yeah, so many bubbles that were burst today. Or bursted. Anyway, uh, Nina, please tell folks where they can follow you, how they can join your community, etc.
Yes, 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 yes. So we are always looking for awesome and amazing moms who, listen, if the reality is you stressed out, burnt out, overwhelmed, frustrated, um, the community is just for you. So we have the Mama Corner community. You can access that via my social media, which is all at Your Corner Coach. We have a rolling membership. We have conversations like these all the time. We empower each other all the time. We have events virtually, in person, where you're not adding anything. You ain't add nothing else. You ain't add nothing else. You figuring out how to use what you already have. So we would love to have you in that community. That is really the best place to tap into the goodness of any coaching, any events. You find all the information there. So plug into the community. We will welcome you with open arms, and we're always there. We're always there.
Ashe, y'all definitely go run towards Nina. You can never have too many tools. Abundance is here. It is real. I'm gonna leave two quotes with y'all. Y'all choose which side y'all on. It's okay. Okay. One wise man said, perfection is not when there's nothing else to add, but when there's nothing left to take away. That is perfection. When there's nothing left to take away. Right? Um, and another wise man, okay, um, was in conversation with God, okay, and God said, "What's in your hand?" He said, "Man, it's a rod. Like it's just a rod, right?" And God said, "Throw it on the ground." God turned that rod into a snake, right? He said, "Pick it back up. What's in your hand?" He like, "Man, it's just a little measly rod, right?" God used that rod to turn his hand leprous and then turn it back, right? And God said, use what's in your hand. If they doubt you, right? If they question, right? Use what's in your hand. And that rod part of the red, we know the story, right? Use what is in your hand. It is that simple. Because what is already in your hand, woo, the universe can turn into whatever you need. I love you, Nina. I love y'all
Love you.
community. Take good care of yourself. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.